Well, you got to keep yourself happy and interested. There's a lot of teachers I know who have students who get their students working on stuff and they get bored very quickly. And some of the guitars are hard to play at first. So, you know, you've got to play. I would think the most satisfying thing is to be able to sit down and play guitar and entertain people. There's a lot of players who can play scales, who can do, make certain sounds, but they can't really play a song. I would say learn songs, even if it's strumming, stuff like that. That to me is pleasing. I can sit down and play a guitar part. Transcribing, the more you can copy, the more you can play like somebody else. That's not a bad thing. Some people say, "Oh, well, I want my own style." Well, you have to be a certain level before you find your own style anyway. So I'd say the most important thing for a beginning guitar player, especially, is feel comfortable and be able to play songs, be able to like copy, improve your ear to where if I hear a Beatles song or I hear a Sheryl Crow song, I can always go, I can figure it out, and that's very rewarding, and that keeps you interested in the guitar. Further on down the road, of course, rhythm is important. You have to be able to play in time. You have to play with other members. You have to learn how to play with other people and respect them and work with them and listen to them and work off of what they play. They do something kind of weird, or singers especially. I've played with a lot of really great singers. I've been really fortunate to play with a lot of R&B artists over the years, and I've learned you learn really fast with them because they'll let you know if you play too much. So I've learned how to like compliment them, hopefully, and play in between their lines. If they play a line, something I know how to get in between those lines, and just let a chord sit, So experience is everything, If you love it, you just got to keep at it. Just don't give up. That's the main thing, I guess. I always liked when I was young. Duane Allman was, of course, I was a big fan of Duane Allman's. I just think he had a certain spirit. Back then you can find a lot of he's like Jimi Hendrix to me, and you can find a lot of recordings that were kind of sloppy and kind of out of tune, but you could hear his heart. And when you heard a good recording, oh my goodness, it was so soulful and so great. And then after he died, then the Southern rock bands kind of started, and that was a different thing. The Allman Brothers were a very special band early on, and I guess I would like to, if people who have passed away, probably Duane Allman or Freddie King, or, there's a lot of great people over the years. I wish I could have played with George Harrison. George Harrison's contribution to the Beatles, John Lennon, those kind of people, of course, they're idols of mine. So you put them on such a high pedestal, you just dream of maybe playing with them at one day. Players now who I like songwriters. There's a girl named Jonathan Brooke. If you Jonathan Brooke album called Steady Pull, which is like some of the best guitar parts, and it's really alternative. It's kind of like Sheryl Crow, but maybe a little more involved, a little more cerebral. It's not quite as pop. It's like Joni Mitchell meets Sheryl Crow. That music is really interesting to me. I love Bruce Hornsby. He's one guy I've always wanted to play with because I like his grassroots bluesy approach, but still he has jazz harmony, so it never gets boring to me. James Taylor, of course. There's the obvious ones that everybody wants that gig. Of course, every guitar player alive wants to play with James Taylor for the obvious reasons, because once again, kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that he just creates great melodies and moods, and those melodies, even though they can be simple, they can just that's what music is all about to me. To me, it's not about anymore. Maybe it used to be more about how fast you were, how technical you were, but to me, if it doesn't have the soulful part, then it doesn't really mean as much to me, and that means that is true the older I get. So those are some of the people I'd like to play with. Great. So if you see them, if you see Bruce, give him my number. Okay. I would say, well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out this stuff. I'll just tell you for sure that I don't talk about these products like I do because because I have an association with you, or I'm not being paid to do it, and I really use this stuff because I love it. And I know that I have a lot of students and a lot of fans that, you know, they may not all like me or my music that much, but they always say I have a good tone. So that's and a lot of it is due to the AC the stuff. I would just say, you know, whatever you're doing, to try to keep inspired, and when you're not being inspired, change your position in life or something to get in a position where you are inspired, and just be happy with what you're doing. I've found that place for me, guitar sounds, which is so important in my life, through the AC equipment and the association with all the guys here at Xotic. So for me, that's what works for me. Whatever works for you. I think if you try these pedals, for one thing, I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised. But I would just say, just try to stay on the path of whatever you're doing and stay positive, and yeah, exercise regularly. That's a joke. Make sure you get lots of exercise. Eat well. No, I'm sorry, you might want to take that out of there. Yeah, just keep learning. Keep pushing yourself to get to that next level in all aspects of life.